Master Lama Rasaji, why do you have to relieve the birth trauma over and over again every Friday?
Why I have to do what every Friday?
Relieve the birth trauma. I don't think you relieve it. I just think you get it in the jacuzzi.
No, you just but you just have to get rid of anything that might be lurking in your aura. I mean, again, to me, that's a comment like the other guy's comment. Do I have to keep doing it? See, the dark side would love for y'all to keep that mindset, right? They would love for you to think, well, I'm just going to go on vacation from self-improvement. See, Siddhana's, when you really translate Siddhana's spiritual practices, you know what it really means? Listen to this: spiritual purification. And the way that you live a long time on this earth is you have to purify enough of your 4D energy body and this physical body, 3D. If you keep purifying them and keep them cleansed, then they're able to activate the energy of your soul and the Holy Spirit to its fullest potential. You let your energy body cloud up because you don't want to work through birth trauma or death urge, or you don't think you have. I mean, the biggest thing, remember, the devil's biggest game was convincing everybody they didn't exist. So if you think you don't have to work through birth trauma and death urge, boy, the devil's got you right where he wants you, because he doesn't want you to work on yourself, especially consistently. So if you heard the Daily Lama about Shiva, the ascetic, today, that he was the Asian version of Adam, and you understand how big of a deal that was, what did he do? He created the Great Awakening in the beginning by just being the party boy, the frat boy. And everybody was good about being the frat boy. Nobody argued about doing that on a regular basis, right? And then one day he just picked up a prayer beads, crossed his legs in tailor fashion, and just started chanting and saying affirmations, and people will start scratching their heads. Wait a minute, what happened to the booze? What happened to the orgies? What's going on here, right? And then he started breathing energy. Well, the moment you start breathing energy and praying in a right way, you start clearing the cells here anatomically, and you start alkalining your body, and you start psychically scrubbing your energy body. He got younger and younger, and then little by little, he went into different postures. All of this whole process was like a 30-year process. And guess what happened? 80% of the people that started with him left. 20% of the people that stayed with him 30 years later all became masters. And those masters began the Siddhi Yoga tutelage. If you're going to hear a Daily Lama on Sri Yukteswar coming up in a day or two. And when you hear what started him at 12 years old in 1875, and this gives me chills because my youngest son, Jen, that Jimmy and Cindy have met, is 12 years old right now. And they just 13 human beings just materialized around him in a circle like a king's crown. And there's a celebration that's been happening in India for over 1,000 years called the Kubala Mela. And in the Kubala Mela, all the gurus, all the monks, all the Swamijis all come out together and spend weeks sharing what they learned about God and about spirituality, to raise the self-esteem. Can you imagine? For 1,000 years, they've been doing that. Every 12 years, they'll go off. Some of them will go to a cave. Some of them will go to a fire pit in the mountains. Some of them will teach and interact with students. Some of them purposely will not even get around another mortal person because they don't want the mortality and the death urge of their 4D body to influence their 4D body. That's how smart they are. I know a guy, studied with the yoga, who's lived over 400 years old. You can Google him. He's Dahindra Baba. I studied with him. He wished me long life when he gave me darshan when I first walked up to him in India. You know what his practice is? The only students he allows close enough to his aura are people who are working on themselves like him. He moves his house 4 times a year every season. One of them's like this island home on poles on the Ganges River. One's in the woods, one's in the mountain. They move him around. And he says, ask him, how can you have such longevity? He says, I don't let any mortals in my aura.